So it is 6:30, we'll call the meeting to order. And so this is the regular monthly meeting of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal for the month of June. And next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I think you have that motion.
Yes, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that Municipal Council approves the agenda as presented.
Motion's on the table, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And next order of business is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Are there any disclosures this evening?
No.
That's, we'll record no disclosures. And no, item number 4 on the agenda, presentations, and we have with us this evening Wendy Onstein, the manager of the Small Business Enterprise Center in Brockville. And Wendy's going to make a presentation. And I see we have you all set up, Wendy.
Yes, that's great.
And by the way, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. So the purpose of my visit tonight is just basically to educate. There's no ask or anything associated with me being here tonight. Seeing as how most of you counselors are new, we wanted to get around to all of the councils just to talk about the Small Business Center and who we are and what we do. So we are the premier resource for anybody who's thinking about starting or growing a business. We're provincially funded and we're one of 57 centers across the province of Ontario. And how our contract works is the Ministry of Economic Development and Job Creation, or whatever they're called now, has a partnership with the city of Brockville. And they have held the contract since the inception of the center, since basically 1996. So, and our mandate is to promote entrepreneurship. And how we do that is we do one-on-one business consultations, we provide some programming and mentorship and coaching. So I'm going to speak tonight about our core services and a couple of the programs that we offer, as well as just to bring you up to speed with some of the events and training that we do. And there's your mayor speaking to one of our summer company's students last year. That was from Edwardsburg Cardinal. So core services include consultations, and when I say consultations, so someone comes in to us and says, I'm thinking about starting a business, what are the steps that I need to take to do that? So we run through business registration, you know, we talk about HST, we talk about marketing, and we talk about networking, and we also discuss business planning and that sort of thing. So we have, and we're measured from the ministry by the number of consultations. That's one of our key performance indicators, is the number of consultations that we do. Typically we do about 200 a year in that area. It goes up and down a bit. But a consultation is when we spend about 45 minutes with someone. They're typically scheduled. If somebody walks into the center, we can you know, do a little chat with them, but generally we really like to sit down with people and take the time with them. We also have resources in the center, many templates, so template of a business plan, template of a marketing plan, partnership agreements, guide to market research, some helpful websites that an entrepreneur would want to have a look at. And our latest tool that we have is an online business plan. So people that either don't qualify for programs that we offer, or don't really want to sit through a class or don't have time, we do have an online version that we give people a chance to work their way through it. And there's some rules and regulations around that. So these are the demographics of consultations that we did in 2018. We did 232, and about 5% of those came from Edwardsburg Cardinal. But the reason we really like to showcase this graph is because we used to be very Brockville-centric. And over the time that I've been working at the center, I've really tried to reach out into the various townships and either encourage people to come to us or we go to them. So it was, when I came on board 14 years ago, the center was actually called the Thousand Island Entrepreneurship Center. And I changed the name to Leeds Grenville because I thought it was more appropriate that it was called the areas that we serve. So next I'm going to talk about Starter Company, and this is Holly. I don't know if any of you know Holly. Holly's from Johnstown. So Councillor Dolbaugh, you know her.
Yes,
so
I do.
she's a hygienist and she is mobile. And Holly came to us wanting to do the Starter Company program, or the Starter Company Plus program. So this program is a two-year program mandated to increase self-employment. You have to be 18 years of age or older, and you can't be in school or working in another job. We really discourage people from working in another job even part-time, because we really think in order to have a successful business, it has to be your main focus. So they can be proposing a new company, they can be expanding an existing company, or they can be purchasing an existing company. But in the last round, we didn't look at seasonal businesses. We're doing a little tweaking in the new round. And you have to be able to contribute 25% either in cash in cash. So that could be your car, that could be your computer. It's really not difficult to come up with $1,250 these days in a business. So this is Robin Shire. I don't know if any of you know Robin, but Robin owns a property management business, and she's actually quite successful. So Holly was already in business when she came looking for help, and so was Robin. Holly was really struggling with getting clients, and Robin was having some difficulty with her marketing. So they both reached out to us and were eligible for the program. So the Starter Company program includes business training and mentoring and coaching from our business coaches. These are local people who volunteer their time with us, and then they also get some paid coaching as well that we pay for. So they're basically in the program for about 6 months. So how it works is they come to an information session. If they qualify and they decide that they want to pursue the program, they apply, we interview, and if they're accepted, they go into the business plan boot camp, which is 4 days of training, and then they do their business plan. They present a trial run of their business plan, and then they present a final run of their business plan, and they could be granted up to $5,000. So in 2017 to 2019, we trained 68 people in the business plan boot camp. So not everybody that takes the boot camp goes on to the next step in the process. We issued 46 grants equaling $210,000, and we helped start 34 businesses, and helped expand 25 businesses were expanded and 3 businesses were purchased. So those are pretty good numbers. And the thing that I really like to brag a bit about is the fact that we create sustainable businesses, or we help create sustainable businesses. Because when they kind of leave our charge, they're very well equipped, and they're also totally welcome to come back. So they know we're there. If they run into a problem, they can come back to us, and we can quite often steer them so they don't go further down, like in more trouble. So the Summer Company program is the program that mostly everybody that knows us knows about the program, or maybe some people that don't know us know about the program, because it gets a lot of media attention. And so it's been around for 19 years, so next year, we're planning a huge celebration where we're hoping to get as many summer company participants back under one roof for a celebration next August. So this program, you have to be 15 to 29 years of age, and you have to be in school and returning to school in the fall. And by returning to school in the fall, we've loosened that a bit. Like, you don't necessarily have to, say you're doing you just need a course to finish high school or a course to finish your university degree. You don't have to be physically returning, you can do it online. We provide $1,500 to start the business, and that $1,500 needs to be consumed in the business. And then at the end of the summer, after they receive coaching and mentoring and training, they receive an additional $1,500 as a cash award, and they can spend that however they want to spend it. So we've had over 180 participants over 19 years, and last year, when we added up the revenue that the participants made was $37,000. So what we have to remember here is they generated $37,000, and some of them didn't start till July. Very few of them get off the ground before June. So from June until the end of August, they generated that kind of income in their businesses. Obviously, there was some really good businesses in that group, because not everybody does that well. But it's a great program. So this is Ava, and Ava did a basketball camp. She did extremely well because she's so well known, and she was definitely one of our top performers last year. So some of the events and training activities that we do throughout the year is we do an annual Bridges to Better Business event. This is a salute to small businesses in the month of October. It's a one-day conference. We usually try to bring a really good business speaker in, and we announce our Entrepreneur of the Year at that that event. And we also, the Immigration Partnership is involved in the day, and they announce the Immigrant Entrepreneur of the Year. And last year it was a lady from Prescott that ran a coffee shop in Prescott. And our entrepreneur, we also do the Paul D. Boyven Award, which is a youth award. So we do that under the Bridges umbrella, and we do it all in one day, and it's a grand celebration of entrepreneurship in Leeds Grenville. We also hold an event around International Women's Day, celebrating women entrepreneurs, and here's Donna White from Green Things. She has a store in Prescott as well as the Garden Center on Highway 2, and she was our Lifetime Achievement Award winner. So that's another really, it's great to be able to recognize people who run their own businesses successfully and give back so much to the community. So that's a role that we've decided that we want to lead. So workshops and seminars, don't do a lot of those because it's really difficult to get people to come out to a workshop. But we do a few around business planning, accounting. Social media is pretty hot. If we do one of those, we usually get quite a few out to those. So we also have a partnership with Augusta Township, where we help them deliver their Business of the Year award, and we also help with the Mayor's Breakfast. We've been doing this for a number of years, and in return for that, for putting on those events for them, they provide us with a small amount of sponsorship money that helps with our operating. So, like us on Facebook, and if you want to be on our mailing list, then just maybe Deb can, let us know, and we can. I think you're on our mailing list, aren't you? Mm-hmm. So it just gets you information on what's coming down the pipe and what our plans are. So yeah, and just when you're talking with your constituents, if they're thinking about starting or growing a business, then just keep us in mind that we can definitely have a conversation with them and help them do that. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Wendy. No, I'm pretty familiar with the Small Business Enterprise Center. I've been going to their summer company kickoffs and wind-ups for about the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. But other members of council got questions for Wendy here?
Not here.
Very active. Go ahead.
I like one, Wendy. When you said that Holly was having problems finding clients, how did you make out with your?
So she's doing much better,
Mhm.
with finding clients. Holly has been raising a family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think she now has 4. So in between babies, she's been, at least now she knows, she has the confidence and she knows how to do it. So I think that she was doing better. I think we're gonna see her tomorrow, and we'll check in with her. But if you see her, ask her.
Yeah, I see her all the time.
Oh, good.
Great girl, yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she is. Thank you.
No, Counselor, is that the lady was at the Sierra, the pool party on Saturday?
That's right, with 4 children,
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Mayor. One carrying, she always has to carry one like a kangaroo, I call it. There's always one in their pocket.
Yeah.
Counselor?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I just comment your summer student program that you have there, I think it's a very successful program. I know my niece's son took it and it helped him, he did real well, I think he won an award or something that year for
What was that? What was his name?
Boker,
Oh, okay, Brad?
yeah. And he went on to be a civil engineer, and now he's an electronics engineer,
Yeah.
and is working
Yeah.
through from Toronto to Ottawa, so
Mhm.
that gave him a real good start
Yeah,
in what he
And-
wanted to do,
yeah.
so.
yeah, that's wonderful. Brad was a great guy, for sure,
he
yeah.
did well out of it, so.
Yeah.
And did you want?
Yeah, just for clarification on the Starter Company Plus,
Mhm.
is it open to existing people as well as
Yes.
people who are just starting out?
Yeah.
So like, take myself for an example, like I could come in and looking to expand a business, that sort of thing, it would apply to somebody that already has an up and running
Yes.
business.
Yes.
So, when it is that case, what exactly like, there's lots of people out there that are in small businesses that are struggling.
Right.
How do they qualify?
So there are some criteria to qualify for that program. And so you have to be in business less than 5 years, okay? You have to be earning some revenue. But for yourself, if you've been in business over 5 years, which I think you have.
Oh, I have, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm
if
speaking general, I
yeah,
use
so-
myself as an example.
So if that business wanted to expand, so say they were thinking about bringing on more employees,
Hmm.
then we would work them through that process. So a lot of, so the first checkbox is the criteria that you have to meet. So once you do that and apply and you come in for an interview, I mean, if we really think that you're a good candidate and you can benefit and you're gonna add jobs to the economy, then we're gonna do whatever we can to work with you.
And so, from same perspective, if someone doesn't qualify.
Yes,
Can you still, is there a way that they pay for service or that they?
we would help them.
That you just help
We
them
just,
for?
yeah. So depending on what your issue is, we have a pool of mentors, and coaches that would help. So, and they're specialists in fields, so if if there's a burning issue, then we would connect you with somebody that could help you. And they all sign confidentiality agreements and everything is, done in complete confidence, so, yeah.
And the last one was, you mentioned that there is a date for the training workshop in October, but you didn't say the number. Do you know it
I think we
offhand?
just set the date, it's the last Thursday in October, which I think is the 25th.
The last Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I might have one more question, and just
Sure.
carry on with Tori's comments there. Like, being in business myself for a long time, my son's been in business now for quite a while, and he's expanded into different functions now that he's into, but there doesn't seem to be any help is, as you said, 5 years for you,
It's hard.
Legion of Grenville Economic Development, everything seems to be like a person that's in 5, 10 years in the business and wants to expand or change, there doesn't seem to be much help for them of finances or anything to be able to
Yeah.
move ahead. Like, there's lots of help for somebody starting out, but you really don't know whether they're gonna succeed or not. But for the guy that's proved himself, he can stay in business and he's looking to change and add products and stuff to it. Is there any help along the way for them that they can get?
So we do have a level of government above us,
Yeah,
which helps those folks, but I would recommend that he come to us first.
yeah.
And we get a picture of where he's at. He may go to the Grenville Community Futures Development Corporation and be able to secure some financing there. It depends on what he wants to do. But we're a really great place to start. We might not be able to help, but we should be able to connect with
Well, he
somebody
took
who
the
can.
training course when he first started out from you, when you got one of the first ones that you just run the course that they enrolled him through government back, that he got paid so much while he was going to.
Okay, so that's the self-employment benefit program.
Yeah,
Mhm,
he
yeah.
took it when he was
Yes.
there, but then there doesn't, once he established it and got going, and I know he's just one of many in the
Yeah.
township that's been running, and now they're getting to the point they need to expand, and they wanna
Mhm.
add something to their business, and, but there seems to be a real gap between the
There
big
is, for
business
sure.
that can get money and the little business that's
Mhm.
starting out, and the
Yeah.
guys that are in between that are really, the backbone of the community can't seem to get help.
Been that way for years.
Yeah,
But we are a good place to start.
yeah.
know
And when
that-
when I say start, I mean to start to have that conversation,
Yeah.
and then we can maybe direct him to somebody else that could help.
And that's the way I kinda use the Small Business Enterprise Center. I've referred over the years, I've referred a number of people to you and given out your contacts.
Mhm.
Whether they actually contact you or not is another thing, but I know during this last campaign in October, when we were running for council, I made referrals to at least 2 people that
Mhm.
had businesses that were thinking of adding employees and
Yes.
wanted to know what's involved. I said, well, you've gotta go and talk to these people, cause I know you'll refer here or
Right.
there or someplace
Mhm.
else.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Wendy, I just wanna thank you for coming and making your presentation here this evening. And I know that you've got the date set for the kickoff for Summer Company. If you haven't already had it, maybe you've already, yeah, if you had it, I missed it.
Yeah, that's right, yeah,
But you'll have the wind-up, I think, in August.
yeah,
So let us know the date for the wind-up, because even though there wasn't anybody there from Edwardsburg Cardinal this year, maybe 2 of the counselors might wanna go
Yeah.
to the wind-up just to talk to
Yeah.
the people.
okay,
And then next year, whatever you can
Yeah.
get your material out to us, let us know, we'll get it up out on our website.
okay,
Try to get you in one of my
Yeah.
columns and see if we can give you a little bit of a push next year.
great, well, thank you, Mayor Seah, and we'll certainly invite you in your warden capacity.
Yeah, well,
Ah.
that and the dollar will get you coffee.
Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Wendy.
Okay, so moving on, item number 5 on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the meeting of May the 27th. Councillor Gillabon.
Moved by myself and second by Councillor Cameron, that the municipal council receives and approves the minutes of regular council meeting dated May 27th, 2019.
Thank you very much. Motion's on the table. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And is there any business arising from those minutes?
Have none.
Hearing none, I'm moving on to item number 7, which is committee minutes. Public Library Board, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you very much. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council receives the minutes of the library board meeting dated April 23rd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Motion's on the table. Discussion. Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And the Port Management Committee of May the 22nd, and that's Councillor Hunter.
And myself, second by Deputy Mayor, or no, second by Councillor Hugh Cameron. This council receives the minutes of the Port Management Committee meeting dated May 22nd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And then the public meeting, Killick rezoning, Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by you, Councillor Cameron, that municipal council received the minutes of the public meeting, collect rezoning of 208 Hillby Road, dated May 27th, 2019.
Minutes of the public meeting, discussion, if any? Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And the minutes of the Community Development Committee on June the 3rd. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting dated June 3rd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And then the Committee of the Whole meeting, June the 10th, Councillor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron that the municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting dated June 10th, 2019.
Thank you very much. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. And the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance of June the 10th, Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Councillor Cameron, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the committee of the whole admin and finance meeting dated June 10th, 2019.
Discussion, questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Public meeting Bissett rezoning, Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that municipal council receives the minutes of the public meeting, the set rezoning of 13 Riddell Road and 1717 County Road 2, dated June 17th, 2019.
Discussion, questions, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. In the public meeting Hartle rezoning, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh. That municipal council receives the minutes of the public meeting, Hartle rezoning of 331 Walter Street, dated June 17, 2019.
Thank you very much. Discussion? Questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And the Committee of the Whole Public Works meeting, June 17th, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you again. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities meeting dated June 17, 2019.
Motion's on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And now the item 8 on the agenda is the action and information items coming forward from the committees. 8A, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing Modernization, Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Councillor Cameron, that municipal council directs staff to draft and issue an RFP for an internal service delivery review with the express purpose of identifying efficiencies that will result in cost savings for the municipality as recommended by the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. 8B, AMCTO modernizing the voters list. Deputy Mayor
All
Deschamps.
right, here we go. Get you popcorn. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter. Whereas concerns over the quality of the municipal voter list is not a new phenomenon, and whereas in 2012 and 2019, the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario, AMCTO, published position papers with respect to modernizing the voters list, and have been advocating for transformational changes to the way that Ontario creates and maintains the voters list for municipal elections. And whereas the preliminary list of electors, which forms the voters list in Ontario for municipal elections, is supplied by data from the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, MPAC. And whereas, despite the incremental changes made by MPAC has a limited ability to fix the current inaccuracy issues that impair the current process, and the voters list continues to be flawed with data inaccuracies and outdated information. And whereas the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal processed over 400 corrections and added over 300 eligible electors to the voters list during the 2018 municipal election. And whereas a transformational solution to the way the voters list is created and managed is required. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal endorses AMCTO's modernizing the voters list position paper and supports the reestablishment of the multi-stakeholder working group in exploring and identifying ways to create and maintain the voters list for municipal elections. And further, that a copy of this resolution be circulated to the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks and Treasurers of Ontario, AMCTO, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO.
Thank you very much. Motion's on the floor. Discussion, if any. Get the voters list in order.
Yes.
No discussion, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried.
I'm gonna get a break for
And now the Spencerville Legion Beer Garden request, Councillor Campbell.
Yes, thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council supports the events of the Spencerville Legion, specifically their request to host 2 outdoor beer gardens on the following dates in 2019. August 24th, 2019, Ball Banquet. September 14th, 2019, Spencerville Fair Weekend, as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And the reserve fund transfer, Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Councillor Cameron. The municipal council approved the transfers to and from the reserve fund account from the operating account for the water and wastewater fund in accordance with the below table as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance. Do you want me to read the numbers or?
I don't think so. And the motion is on the table. Discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And 2018 year-end township surplus, Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Councillor Cameron. The municipal council approved the allocation of the 2018 surplus to the capital expenditure reserves as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Admin and Finance.
Thank you very much. Questions, discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And the 2019 PSAB budget addendum, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you again. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh, that municipal council adopt the 2019 PSAB budget addendum report to meet the requirements of Regulation 284-9 as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Administration and Finance.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Motion is carried. Vacant land disposal, Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cameron, that the municipal council authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to execute the purchase and the sale agreement with respect to the vacant land legally described as part of Block 290, Plan 25, Part 1, on Plan 15R 11989, Pen 68152-0066.
Thank you very much. Discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. temporary road closure, Counselor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron. Municipal Council approves the request for the closure of Water Street on Sunday, July 14, 2019, between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. local time. And number 2, direct staff to supply barricades and work with the SBCC to ensure notification is provided and affected residents' emergency service. Recommended by the Committee of the Whole, the Public Works, Environmental Services, and the Facilities.
Thank you very much. Discussion, questions, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. The ATV Club use of wrap on unopened road allowance, Counselor Hunter.
Moved myself, second by Councillor Cameron. That municipal council only permit the use of fill materials as defined by the Ontario Ministry of Environment, MOE, in their proposed excess soil policy framework for repairs on unopened road allowances as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities.
Thank you very much. Discussion,
Just
questions?
One
Go ahead.
question. They were very clearly told that the reclaimed asphalt that they wanted to use is in their ask that they weren't allowed to use that. I know this says that they're only allowed to use as defined by Ontario Ministry of Environment, but they were asking specifically if they could use something that's not allowed under this. But they've been notified that was turned down.
So through the mayor, they will be once this is passed tonight, council.
Okay, so they will understand clearly that REP is not a permitted material.
That is correct.
Because they were specific in their ask.
Yes.
Okay.
Talking to the vice president, those in favor, by the way?
Aye.
Talking to the vice president of the club, and I informed him what was happening, and needless to say, he wasn't, as the vice president at least, all that disappointed. So now, the Port Railway Bridge repairs, Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that Municipal Council, 1, approves the adjustments made in the 2019 capital budget for the Port of Johnstown as attached, and 2, awards the rail bridge repair 2019 project number 323-001 to Willis Kerr Contracting in the amount of $770,974.78, excluding HST, plus a 15% contingency as recommended by the Port Management Committee, and there is an attached document as well.
Good, thank you. The attached document is the amended capital budget.
Yes.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And then the port tenant looking for consent for a new building addition, Councillor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron that the municipal council approves the request for an additional to the building owned by Joe Francisco. Oh, that's right, and Susan Nelson, located at 3307 Windmill Lane, identified as Port Lease P-37, as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Thank you very much. Motion's on the floor. Discussion, questions, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And the Cardinal Water Treatment Plant berm retaining wall award, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you again. It's moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps that municipal council receive the engineer's recommended letter and 2, award the construction of a water treatment plant berm retaining wall to Robert Nash Excavating, Inc. in the amount of $48,518.25. 3, authorize staff to execute contract documents and approve a 10% contingency to be used at the Director of Operations discretion should any unforeseen issues arise during the project.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion?
Yes, I,
Go ahead.
I just have one question, I just wondered when we,
go ahead.
Okay, so Councillor Hunter, then
Yes, go
Councillor Cameron.
when we applied for, a grant on this, how we seem to have overestimated the cost of it by so much, so.
Well, what, kinda lost track of where we are. What was the estimated amount?
Well, with the engineering report and stuff, it's 84, but the construction was estimated at 63,900, and we're coming in at 47, so.
That's our half, isn't it?
Okay, so through the chair to the staff?
Certainly. So the construction portion was estimated at around 63,900 for the actual construction, which includes some contract administration, and some of the additional items are permitting and reporting through that Civic Nation that will be covered in that remaining amount. Do I anticipate that we will use up the entire 84,000? No, I do not.
Does that answer your question? Councillor
Do we
Cameron?
have to return what we don't use, or?
So through the mayor, what has to happen is that we will receive the invoicing, we will pay the invoicing, and then we will submit for those dollar amounts.
Okay, so we're paid on the basis of 50% of invoiced costs.
Correct.
Up to a maximum.
Yeah, up to a maximum. Councillor
Yes,
Cameron?
yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. What is our actual portion, our 50%? Is it the 42,550? And then, or what is it SNC is kicking in?
Through the mayor, SNC is not kicking in any financial on this project. 50% is the township, and 50% is through the National Disaster Mitigation Program.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
No.
And one other question, on the very last page, where you have a breakdown of Nash versus CSL, I'm just a little concerned, there's a tree to be removed, item number 3, and one bid comes in at $650 and the other comes in at $1,150. I'm just wondering why such a wide variation, almost double, I've just had a tree taken down that was in the $6,000 area, and I just, and I did look at the trees this morning on my walk, and they're pretty big trees. Is $650 gonna, are you confident that that's gonna cut that? And does that, I'm sorry, does that include cleanup and all that with the branches and the wood?
So through the mayor, yes, I do anticipate that. It was clearly understood what the parameters were for that item, so the contractor was aware.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
So my own question then, we're approving a contract here that has a specific amount in it, which is 48,518.25. But what we've got on the back page, or the last page, is unit pricing. So which are we paying? Are we paying the unit pricing, or are we paying the contract price? I mean, is he gonna come to us and say, well, mind you, even on the unit pricing, he's at $650, so I guess if he's
Yeah.
over, he's over then, eh?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, now, did I call the question? I don't think I did.
No, you didn't.
That's because I don't have the motion. Can't blame me if I don't have the motion.
I'm sorry.
Or did somebody give me the motion and I set it
What
aside?
have you got there?
No, I don't have the motion.
Well, I thought I read the motion and handed it to you. I'm sorry, maybe no?
Oh yeah, wait a minute now. Yes. Yes, you did read the motion. Yes, I do have the motion. Yes, the
Well,
motion's on the table.
What a relief.
On the table, right where it's supposed to be.
Right where it's going,
And,
right
and
on.
firmly upon it.
So, any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Yes,
Motion is carried.
after all that.
Sorry about that. And so now the last item, the purchase of a pickup truck, Counselor Hunter.
Me myself, second by Councilor Cameron, that the municipal council will purchase the GMC Sierra 1500 limited four-wheel drive double cab from Riverside Motors Limited for $35,978 plus HST as an unbudgeted capital expense and direct staff to execute the purchase of documents.
Okay, discussion if any.
Um,
I'm not losing track of this, I'm hanging on. Go ahead, discussion.
Yes, I just want to, by the way, on both the last motion as well as, or, I'm sorry, the Nash versus CSL and this, I really do appreciate everything broken down the way it is. This is fantastic. I would really like to see everything come forward this way, if that's possible. And I will say, had we had this breakdown prior to the other truck, or this truck that we were talking about a while ago, this would have been cut and dried, and it would have been perfect. But I see you're requesting that we buy the truck outright. It's my understanding we can borrow money at about less than 4% from the bank and wouldn't depreciate or wouldn't draw down our capital that much. I'm just wondering, has thought been put into that exercise? I see you've done the finance rate through the car company, but I was just wondering about bank financing to maybe hold on to some of our capital. And I know in the long run, we're gonna pay more for it. I totally understand that. And I have always said, I owe interest to no man, but sometimes when money is that cheap.
So through the mayor, that is one of the items that we did look in under alternatives, but the reason that we went with the outright purchase was to avoid those interest charges over 4 years. As we originally set out, we were looking for 0% financing.
Yes, I see, and the payment would be $847 a month.
Correct.
I see that. Okay.
So you have a question?
Yeah, so because it's unbudgeted capital expense, does it adds $36,000 to our capital now, right?
If I may, through the chair,
Sorry.
it would, but the hope, I guess is the best way to put it, is that through the course of the year, we'll save on capital projects as we go along and hopefully not end up in a deficit position as a result of this, that the total capital expenditures would not be impacted, but it is a hope. I mean, we've seen very good pricing on many of our contracts thus far, and we feel that we would be able to make up this $36,000 through the course of the year, savings on other capital projects.
So in other words, what you're hoping is that you won't go over on your capital budget.
Fair enough. Going back to budget and how many times we went back and forth on this, whether we were going to do it on capital or put it through operational, through financing, just brings me back to where we were in that discussion. Again, when I see it puts us almost 0.5% over, but I take what you say as great for being under budget on projects already, so hopefully it will make up the difference.
The other aspect of this, though, of course, is that in the original conception, we were going to cash flow, I forget how many months we were anticipating cash flow, estimating 6 payments at $810 a month for a total of $4,860 in payments during 2019. Now, those payments were to come from the operating account. And if we're gonna capitalize it, then that money will not be an operating expense, so, I mean, I know it's gonna be tempting to use that $4,860 to cover overages in operations. So how will we see, I mean, I'm feared that it's gonna get lost in operations, if I can put it that way. Especially when I think in terms of a certain grader. And maybe that's not such a bad idea. So.
In actual fact, we've already used that for the greater.
Sorry, you're buying it. Oops.
Well, it does have an implication both ways. So we're robbing from operations to.
Yes.
Okay, all right, well, let's just deal with the motion before it gets too complicated.
Could I just ask one more
Further
question?
discussion? Go ahead.
Just one more question. It's just on the submission headline, we've got Riverside Motors, we've got Riverside Chev Buick GMC. Are they the same people?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we've got
And the GM, or in the Chrysler.
Riverside Chrysler, which I know is different, but.
No.
No.
No, it's the same.
Well,
Same thing?
Same
well,
thing.
no, you have to be careful
They're
here.
different companies.
Yeah, they're different companies,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
may have the same principles, but they're
Yes,
They're
different
all
yes.
under
companies.
the same corporation.
Eh?
They're all owned under the same corporation.
Well,
Okay.
we're not sure of the structure. Okay, I'm about to call the question on the motion. Do we want it read again? If not, those in favor? Motion is carried. And so now I'm on to item number 9 on the agenda, which is receiving the correspondence. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you again. It's moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps that municipal council receives the correspondence listings for the following dates as previously circulated. May 30th, 2019, June 6th, 2019, June 13th, 2019, June 20th, 2019.
Thank you very much. Discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And so now, item 10 on the agenda is approval of municipal disbursements. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cameron, that the municipal council approves the payments of municipal invoices circulated and dated as follows. Report date June 18th, 2019, $2,241,529.77. Reported date June 18th, 2019, $239,039.32, for a total of $2,480,569.09.
Thank you very much. The disbursement sheets have been circulated. Questions, if any?
Yes.
Made the motion. And questions, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, just a couple here for clarification mostly. On page 3, under Drummond Gas, I'm just wondering why it shows recreation number of times, but no fuel or anything else after the name. But yet when we go fast forward to max convenience, that is broken out. I'm just curious as to why that would be on one and not on another.
Oh, yes, right.
Go ahead. Staff.
I'm sorry, Counselor, I don't have an answer to that. I have no idea why the person inputting the invoices chooses to put the word fuel after one and not the other.
Yeah, it just strikes me as a little bit strange because every other department breaks it out, but that doesn't. The other one is on page 5. The other question I have is on page 4, I'm sorry. Page 4, Grenville Towing Services, bylaw towing for $339. Could I ask what that tow service was for?
Council may recall that we did a yard cleanup in Cardinal.
Yeah, but that was just a week ago. Oh.
Yep.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's quick.
I just didn't think it would be that fast.
I imagine they handed it to the bylaw officer that
I'm-
day.
I'm sure. And the next one I have is on page 5, it's Island City Training and Service. Is that the bylaw officer? Are we paying, is that a company he has, or?
Yes, that's correct.
And so a question from the chair, if I may. So going back to the original question about the allocation of fuel, because on the Drummond gas, the fuel that's used by PW, Public Works, seems to be allocated by vehicle. But there's no, in the rec, there doesn't seem to be, a look at, even on the Max Convenience, there's no allocation by vehicle. So my question is, are we any closer to getting a fuel inventory control system in place? I think we sort of agreed at the Municipal Modernization Fund meeting that we would move to implement a fuel monitoring system. And I'm just wondering if we've started that.
In 2 weeks? No, sorry, Mr. Mayor, we haven't instituted that system just yet, but certainly it's something that we're working on.
Okay,
I just have some.
because there are off-the-shelf programs. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, and another question is on page 7 regarding Novatech with the BSNet rezoning, $783. Is that charged back to the BSNets?
Yes, it is.
It is, thank you. And now the Prescott Fire Department, $100 and $465. Fire Department MTO claim reimbursement, $100. And then Fire Department 4 will call out assist, and they're charging us, I'm assuming here now, that Prescott Fire Department is sending us the bill for that call out. Am I correct in assuming that?
I would defer to the Director of Operations on that one.
So, through the mayor, I believe that both of those calls would actually go through MTO claims.
Yes.
Only one department can submit the claims now, so we would be submitting on Prescott's behalf for a vehicle or whatever the case may be. And once that money is received from us, we would give.
Put it in our
Prescott.
coffers.
Correct.
Okay, yes, okay, thank you.
Okay, but I guess the question that I get out of that is that Prescott invoices us for attending at an event on the 401. So they invoice us and we pay the invoice. Then we submit claim to the MTO if and only if,
We get paid.
well, no, but if and only if we've got a police report and we've performed some service. So my question is, so we've cash flowed $565 to Prescott without knowing that we're going to recoup that from MTO. If we don't recoup it from MTO, it's a cost to our township that we've borne.
But, Mr. Mayor, you're assuming we haven't received that money from MTO yet.
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
So straighten me out.
well, we do
So-
receive the funds.
Yeah, so typically, the funds are received from MTO before that exchange of invoice and payment.
So you go through MTO even before we give it to Prescott. Everybody's happy.
Now, how can that work? We're invoicing MTO at the end of the event for the 2 or 3 vehicles that we sent plus the vehicle that they sent.
Mhm.
And MTO is recognizing the claim, paying us,
Mhm.
and then we're signaling to Prescott to send us an invoice? Or if they sent us the invoice and we've just held it until we receive the money? What's the mechanism?
I believe, and I can't say for sure, but I believe that once that money's received, that we would have Prescott invoice us for that amount.
Okay, but we're whole on the issue.
From the best of my understanding, we are whole on the issue.
Okay.
By the invoice numbers, it appears that it happened in 2018, I would just assume that.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Okay. And on page 9, Vincera Kennels, that's a monthly fee of $1,400. I think I've questioned this before. Do we get a breakdown of services provided from these people for the month?
We do get monthly reports from the operator, but that is pound service, so essentially we're paying that contract fee to have a pound available for animals when they're picked up.
Okay.
And then services over and above that.
Okay, and I believe the last question I have is on Walkerton Clean Water Center. I see we had a course fee of $384, another one at $384, and then a separate course fee for W. LaFave at $345. Was that because he just took the course, or could I just get some explanation on that?
Certainly, through the mayor, those three courses are part of the mandatory renewal process, and I believe that the difference in the pricing between the third attendee and the other two is once you have 3 or more, you get a discount. So that would be the discounted price.
Okay, were the first two then without names, were they for individuals?
They were for individuals.
Okay, okay, I was just thinking they might have been group.
No, they were
So-
individuals.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay, if there are no other questions about, okay, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I just have two. One is, and I was flipping through my page and I lost it. I think it is pump number. It's on page number 4, at the very bottom, 13,164.50 for pump motor repairs.
For
Which?
Hewitt?
Yeah, Hewitt.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So which pump and?
Water treatment plant.
Oh, it's right on that. That's
Yes.
the WTP, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, that answers that. And hydro pole repair? Almost directly under, it's on top of page 5. $7,459.
So through the mayor, that was during winter plow operations at the Johnstown Community Center. The hydro pole was hit by one of our units, and that is the replacement cost for that.
Hit by a snowplow?
Hit by a snowplow.
I think they had the job of replacement of poles, that's right.
But that was never reported. That hit was never reported to council.
Through the mayor, I believe that was noted in one of the reports in January. If it wasn't, then I'll.
That's the
I'll
only
wear
reason I
that.
asked was because
Yeah.
I must have missed it in January then as well.
So 7,000,
No, it's 700.
7,500.
7,000.
7,500.
Ooh. Okay, thanks.
So
That's
expensive.
the job of putting those poles in.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, the point is, it's an incident.
Those are my two big
Uh,
ones.
High
and
price.
it's- Yeah. Counselor Hunter?
I just had one question. Beachcomb Hardware, we seem to be doing a lot for pools and park equipment there. I just wonder why we're buying from Beachcomb Hardware when we have 2 hardware stores, one in Cardinal and one in Spencer, why we're going into Prescott to buy from hardware store.
The only thing I can tell you, Counselor, through the chair, is that sometimes it's just more convenient to run to Prescott than to run to Cardinal, but certainly we try and keep an eye on that. Sometimes we can't get what we need at one of the other 2 stores either, so.
I think we really should be, when we have 2 of them within the area, whether it's a little more convenient or not, we should be buying from our taxpayers, so.
We do try to buy local.
And we also have to remember the beaches live in the
Any further questions before I call the question? Hearing none, about to call the question. Those in favor, approval of disbursement sheet.
Aye.
Motion is carried, thank you. And to staff, I'll be away tomorrow, but I may get an opportunity to get in around 10 o'clock. To sign the checks.
Oh, that would be good.
Well, somebody, they may want to get paid. All right, so now I'm on item number 11, which is the bylaws. The first is an amendment to a zoning bylaw for Bissett. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Cameron, that the mover be granted to leave to introduce a bylaw to amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw 2012-35 as amended to Bissett. And this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Bissett zoning bylaw amendment. Discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Approved unanimously. Go to third reading, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Cameron, that the bylaw amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw 2012-35 as amended to Bissett be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-30.
Third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda is zoning bylaw amendment for Hartwell. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you again. It's moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2012-35, amended Hartwell, as amended Hartwell, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Those in favor of first and second reading?
Aye.
Those, it's carried unanimously. Go to third reading.
Thank you again. It's moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that a bylaw to amend comprehensive zoning bylaw 2012-35 as amended Hartwell be now read a third time, finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-31.
Third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And on site plan control agreement amendment for Logistec. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize amendment to the site plan control agreement Logistec, registered as instrument PR 177792, as authorized by bylaw 2003-38, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Logistec, first and second reading. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Proceed to third reading.
That a bylaw to authorize amendment to the site, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that a bylaw to authorize amendment to the site plan control agreement Logistec, registered as instrument PR 177792, as authorized by bylaw 2003-38, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-32.
Third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried, and I'm on item number 11D, fit for duty policy. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to establish a fit for duty policy, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
First and second reading of the fit bylaw. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that a bylaw to establish a fit for duty policy now be read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-33.
Third reading. Those in favor?
Discussion first.
Yes, go ahead.
I've read through this, all 21 pages or so of it, and I find it extremely thorough. However, I do have a couple of questions. How does this policy differ, if in any way, from what's already in place for, as I know it, union staff?
This is a new, through the chair, this is a new policy, really developed as a result of the legalization of cannabis. We had employee code of conduct that addressed, making sure that you were fit for duty, but this is a much more specific and all-encompassing bylaw.
Yes, and I'm just looking for some guidance here from staff as well. It just appears to me that if we have someone on staff who seems to have a problem, we have a real problem either getting rid of them or not paying him. And I think if somebody shows up for duty unfit to do the job for any period of time, I don't think we should have to pay him. And I'd just like to know how we're addressing that in here, and also how we're addressing the fact that when we hire someone, how do we know, and is there a mechanism in place to ask certain questions whether these people that we're hiring have a problem or not? So I'd just like your feelings on that. I'm going to support the motion, by the way, because I feel that it is a good motion, but I'm a little uncomfortable with it, so help me relax.
219.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Through the chair, the fit for duty policy really just establishes circumstances under which we can start asking those kinds of questions of our existing employees. We have examples in the past where employees were not fit for duty and they were dismissed. It's not an entirely unheard of thing. As to whether or not we can establish that there's a problem when we hire, that's a very difficult thing to assess. One part of this policy that will come out of it now that it's been adopted is we will arrange for some training for our managers so that they can recognize the signs of impairment and the signs of not being fit for duty. But it does give us a mechanism to work through a problem. We do have a duty to accommodate if someone has a mental health issue or an addiction issue wherein they admit to that and ask for help. We're required to do that under employment standards as well as the Ontario Human Rights. So really what this does is give us a mechanism to deal with, hopefully, any issues that arise.
Okay, I'm teetering. Okay.
I understand. I wish I could give you 100% comfort, but.
Yeah, it's just that I feel if somebody is not fit for work, then, and I understand people get sick and we pay them, and I understand all that. But alcohol and drugs are a totally different kettle of fish. And I just feel that if someone has to be sent home because they're intoxicated one way or the other, then we should be able to recoup some of that wage, because they made the decision to come to work in that state.
And I believe the policy addresses that in that we presume innocence until proven guilty. So if the testing comes back where the person has been abusing substances and came to work despite that, then we do have a mechanism to not pay them for those times. But we do presume innocence until the testing proves otherwise.
Yes, okay. Okay, that's all I have. As I said, I certainly will support the motion, so.
Well, before I call the question, and I must admit I haven't read the entire bylaw, but is there not an onus in this bylaw for the employee to self-declare prior to being caught out, if I can put it that way, by the supervisor?
Yes, there is. Absolutely.
And is there not a more serious repercussion if they don't self-declare?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm about to call the question on third reading. Those in favor of third reading?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, and now I'm on the South Dundas Automatic Aid Agreement. Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize an automatic aid agreement with the municipality of South Dundas for fire, rescue, and emergency services, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. First and second reading. Any questions, discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. Proceed to third reading,
Move
please.
myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, a bylaw to authorize an automatic aid agreement with the municipality of South Dundas for fire, rescue, and emergency service be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-34.
Thank you very much. Third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. I'm now on the half-load restrictions bylaw, Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to designate half-load restrictions on roads within the boundaries of the township of Edgeworthsburg, Cardinal, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. First and second reading, discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. Please proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that a bylaw to designate half-load restrictions on roads within the boundaries of the township of Edgeworthsburg, Cardinal be now passed the third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-35.
Thank you very much. Third reading, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And I'm on number 11G to amend the Public Library Board 2018-78, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you again. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-78 to appoint members of the Edwardsburg Cardinal Public Library Board, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. First and second reading to amend the Library Board bylaw. Those in discussion, if any?
Quickly, Mr. Mayor, thank you, that this is just a bylaw to add one person. Joan McKinnon, who's been on the board for a while, has left the board, and Ann Barrett is coming on in her place. So that's what this is all about. Thank you.
First and second reading, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you again. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter that a bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-78 to appoint members of the Edwardsburg Cardinal Public Library Board be now read a third time, finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-36.
Those in favor of third reading?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And I'm now then on item 12 of the agenda, the CAO's administrative update. And we'll put the update on the table and then have the discussion. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and second by Councillor Cameron that the municipal council receive the CO's administration report as presented.
Thank you very much. And turning to the CAO, if you'd like to highlight your report.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, we have hired a new accounts payroll finance assistant to replace Brandy Phillips, who left our employ early in June, and we've hired Miranda Leach. Miranda comes to us with some municipal experience with the municipality of South Dundas, but more of her experience is related to accounting. She starts July 2nd. She's going to work with us for that week, and then she's taking an unpaid week, which she had already booked at a cottage and prepaid her cottage, so we allowed her to continue to have that time off. So we're excited to welcome her aboard. We had a great recruitment, 30 applications. We interviewed 4 wonderful candidates, and it was a tough choice, so pretty happy with that. We have, I did want to point out that the Community Development Coordinator did attend the community consultation event in North Grenville with the 2 school boards on June the 12th. That was an extremely busy day. Everybody had lots of things on that day, but Wendy was able to go, and the slides used in the presentation are available if anyone needs a copy of them. She felt it was an opportunity for the school boards to tell the municipalities what they could do to help the school boards, if I can put it that way. As opposed to a back and forth conversation, she felt it was pretty one way. Mayor and I are working on the job site challenge, and we expect to travel to Toronto next Tuesday. There was a change in ministers in that portfolio. That was the Ministry of Economic Development, but we've been assured today that our meeting on the 2nd will go ahead, so we'll see how that comes. The vacant lot in Cardinal is now advertised for sale. I have forwarded that ad to people that I knew were interested, so hopefully we'll get some good response to that. Official plan review, looks like we'll be at CDC in August for the final review, setting up the public meeting, statutory public meeting, and then we should be able to get that thing adopted fairly quickly after that. Modernization Fund, June 10th, we discussed having a three-way council meeting. I did send out the letters as instructed, have not received any response from either of our two neighboring municipalities. I had asked for responses by the end of this week, so we'll see what we get. So I can't give you a good date for that meeting yet.
I'm just gonna jump in here just for a second to tell council that Mayor Malenka had asked me if we should meet as a party of 9, the mayors, the CAOs, and the deputy mayors, one last time to sort of plan the agenda for the joint three-way council meeting. I indicated to him that I wasn't averse to it, but he should proceed, he should be the one that proceeded to organize it. And as of today, I don't believe that they've reached out to organize that meeting. So, as of this point in time, our letter has gone to Prescott, all the mayor and all the councilors, Augusta, all the mayors and all the councilors, and we've had no response, right? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are 2 properties may be eligible for tax sale as of tomorrow if they're not redeemed, so you may start to see ads on that. The pools have all been inspected. The second visit that I referred to for the Cardinal Pool was performed today with no issues, so everything's up and running and ready to go. Want a big thank you to Ingredion and Greenfield Global for once again contributing $5,000 each so the kids can learn to swim at no charge. Day camp was crazy popular with registrations this year. I think the last I heard there were 4 spots remaining for the entire summer.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
isn't that great?
Yeah, it's
Fantastic.
really good, so, very exciting. What else have I got here, something I wanted to mention? The Johnstown Servicing, or survey, the Johnstown Servicing Survey did go out in the mail today with self-addressed stamped envelopes, and there is a online survey available, but you have to have received the letter and get the link. It's not something you can search for. So in other words, if somebody wants to do the survey, they have to have already seen their letter.
To get them there.
So,
And is there a way of avoiding duplication?
yeah, and so that we don't end up with a bunch of survey responses from people that, whose opinions don't matter in this particular instance.
Can we put a closing date on that, like a time?
Yes, we did. I don't remember.
July 31st.
July 31st.
July 13th, thank you.
Thank you. I did want to note too that Dump to Donate Day was pretty successful. I was happy to see that they actually, they did most of the pickups in Cardinal, but they did come out to Spencerville and Johnstown as well, which was great. I don't remember having seen that in a previous iteration of that event. I don't think there's anything too much more on that. The fire department, they're working on that new truck tender. You will see a new emergency program bylaw next month. We've asked, we've combined there always seemed to be 2 or 3 different bylaws that had to be updated. We've combined them into one document so that now we can update it, one document instead of having to go through 3 or 4. So that will be something that will come forward in July. And happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
Mine's just a really quick one. Greenfield and Ingredion, $5,000 for swimming lessons and free swim as well? Like, it doesn't just go to swimming lessons,
It goes just
free.
to swimming lessons.
It's just swimming lessons, so
Yeah.
when I make a post about it, it's just.
Yeah, we've been offering free public swimming for a long time.
And that's ours, that's like the township that sponsors the free swim?
Yeah, it basically discovered that it was more of an administrative headache to manage the payment than to just open the pool and let people come.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Other questions? The CAO.
I'd just like to pick up on that regarding the $5,000 each. Now, does that mean that all registrants get free lessons?
It's,
One, right?
pardon me?
One
Yeah,
free lesson.
one free session of lessons. It's more or less on a first come, first served
I'll
basis.
go with the second one.
But I wouldn't say all, but most. Most would have opportunity for a free set of lessons. There's folks who don't
Okay.
choose to access it.
It doesn't go by, for instance, a means test as
No.
to, okay, thank you.
If I recall correctly, I do recall a previous report in which it was indicated that the 5,000's total 10, and at the end of the sessions, there was a few dollars left over that hadn't been picked up by any registrant. I think that was one of the reports from a year or so ago.
I think the first few years, we run it, when we were on council together before, when I started out, there was about a quarter of them got a free second session because there was money left, and
Right.
the last few years, it's pretty well been used up on first time sessions, everybody's been jumping.
Well, we got one last year, I think.
Okay, Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you.
Deb, can you help me out on the arena staffing with Mike? Has he, it says here that he's booking his ice. Has South Granville Minor Hockey been in touch with him yet?
Oh goodness, yes, they do their seasonal booking in February. The contracts are all,
So it's all done, South Granville? And it's everything's good and happy?
everything's good, everybody's happy.
Oh, okay, good. I'm not hearing that, so thank you.
Oh,
No, outside, thanks.
okay.
Outside here, I'm not hearing that, so I'm glad that you said that everything's okey-dokey. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Hearing none, I'm about to call the question to receive the CAO's report. Those in favor of the motion, please signify. Motion is carried. And I'm now on item number 13, council inquiries and notices of motion, and I see a notice of motion from Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Yeah.
Seems to have some concern about high water.
Yeah, I think it's quite a common concern. I'm not exactly sure how to go about this process or the way this is done, so, but I'm hoping for, I know this would normally be sort of a discussion tonight, and then it would end up coming back the same way our other items come back at our next council meeting, but I'm hoping for a broad amount of support with this tonight to get this moved forward and possibly a little bit of leniency with our procedural efforts so that we can get this going.
Okay, so just let me jump in here. So the procedural bylaw basically indicates that the notice of motion without discussion comes forward at one meeting, and then the actual discussion, the motion goes on the table at the next meeting for discussion and determination. But I do believe that in our procedural bylaw, we do have a mechanism to deal with the notice of motion at the same meeting at which it's introduced, depending on certain conditions. But I can't remember what those conditions were.
That would be to do with timing. In other words, if a month from now this motion has not as much impact or meaning, you may not want to delay that long.
Okay, so I guess to give the sponsor of this motion some leeway, can we deal with the motion tonight? Can the chair entertain the motion tonight?
I believe you can.
All right, so the clerk indicates to the chair that the motion can come forward tonight as not only a notice of motion, but as a motion on the table. So if you can find a seconder for your motion, it can be dealt with this evening. Otherwise, it just goes forward for discussion and debate at the next meeting.
So shall I read the motion and then see if I can get a second?
Well, it's been circulated. Maybe somebody might want to,
No, I'll second it.
so you've got a seconder, and the chair will recognize the motion being moved by Deputy Mayor Deschamps and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh. So the motion is duly on the table, and I'll let you, just for the sake of brevity, just read the operative clause, the two operative clauses. Now therefore.
So now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal calls on the International Joint Commission to immediately complete a study of the flood of 2017 and 2019, identifying improved ways of managing high water levels along the St. Lawrence Seaway and Great Lakes region with a view to rescinding and replacing Plan 2014. And further that a copy of this resolution be circulated to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and the International Joint Committee.
Commission. Should be the International Joint Commission.
Sorry.
And I'm just looking, yes, it appears as International Joint Commission in all the other locations, I think.
There was possibly one other.
The operative clause above that shows commission.
There's one other, while we're doctoring this, yeah, it does say IJC up there as well, sorry. But one other word, if at all possible, and I didn't notice it until today when I was going over it a second time, is that I used the word fisherman, and I think that term actually should be angler in 2019, not maybe fisherman. If that's possible to change that word as well. If that's too late.
What operative clause is it?
Fourth whereas.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and reduce numbers of sport, recreational activities and fishermen accessing the waterways. So you're saying
Change
prefer
fishermen to
anglers. Okay, so to the mover and the seconder, is that regarded as a friendly amendment?
Yes.
It's regarded as a friendly amendment. I'm just going to strike out the word fishermen and put in the word anglers, A-N-G-L-E-R-S. All right, so now we've got the motion kind of changed up a little bit. There is a couple of things that I want to just bring to your attention about the motion. First of all, I'm going to support the motion. But the International Joint Commission really doesn't have much jurisdiction to change Plan 2014, because that's an international treaty. And the International Joint Commission is just in charge of implementing the treaty. But they can, of course, recommend to their respective federal governments changes to Plan 14. Now, the issue for me is Plan 14 the problem? Or is it the manner in which the control boards are implementing Plan 14? That's the issue. But I mean, one thing about it, this puts the issue in the public. So I have no problem supporting it.
It does, it gets it out there and it shows that there's concern.
Yeah.
And we are concerned.
Yeah,
Yes.
no questions. But again, draw your attention to the notice that came out today. They're maintaining outflows at 10,400 cubic meters per second because the flow on the Ottawa River has increased, putting additional pressure on Montreal, and they don't want to put any additional pressure on Montreal. And of course, the other reason that they're using is that any flow over 10,400 cubic meters per second increases the current in the river to the point where they worry that they're going to have to close shipping season, or the shipping traffic.
Already had legislation, so,
Did they? Recently?
yeah, just down below the side of Montreal where the tugs let go of the boat and they couldn't handle the current, smacked into another one.
Is that right?
Jeez.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
One of the things that they're talking about doing, I've seen one of the plans that the control board met on Friday afternoon. One of the things that they were discussing was increasing the flows for like a 2-day period
11,000.
beyond 11,400 and shutting down the shipping for 2 days while those increased flows were.
Not gonna happen.
No, it is gonna happen because of the Ottawa River putting additional pressure on Montreal.
Well,
So-
you're not gonna shut those ships down, guys, it's too much.
Well,
Way too much money.
Way too much money. Anyway, Counselor?
So,
Sure, Deputy
Mayor.
just to echo on our local MPP and his letter to the IJC, to quote his letter, the destruction to property this year and in 2017 makes it clear that the current management plan is failing dramatically in striking the balance or to meet its stated objective, which is to, quote, their plan, moderate extreme high and low water levels. So I do think, and he goes on to say that Andrew Cuomo was actually written to the IJC as well, to be made whole for any expenditures related to flood damages. He's asking for recuperation for the people of New York for any damages that they've suffered due to the IJC implementing this. So I just think it adds a little more value to have our support. I know it hits a lot of municipalities along the river, along the Great Lakes. I don't think that it's any coincidence that the first year that this plan was implemented, if you read through the plan and what it's trying to achieve, it's achieving exactly what it had set out to achieve with higher year-long water levels. It's definitely getting them, and I think you're seeing the effects of that system all the way up in through the Great Lakes.
So, any further discussion on the motion? I'll call the question on the motion. Those in favor of the motion? Okay, I'm gonna show the motion carried unanimously for purposes of political expediency and weight, and then we can get it out, whatever mechanism we use to circulate these things as per the operative clause.
Thank everyone for their consideration.
Thanks for bringing it forward. Okay, item number 14 on the agenda is the mayor's report, and I have a short little report here this evening. Go through a number of things. First of all, with regard to the National Trade Corridor Fund application, we have another meeting arranged by our consultants, Hill and Knowlton, with MP Frank Drouin, the MP for Glengarry Prescott Russell. And that meeting will be tomorrow at 2:30 at his office in Ottawa. And just to let members know that our consultants are still pursuing meetings with various Liberal members in the trading area that we serve, because although the House has risen, a lot of the members are back in their ridings, and we've indicated that we will go to their ridings to meet with them in their ridings. Item number 2 concerns traffic control during the Highway 401 closures. So we have a new Minister of Transportation now, the Honourable Carolyn Mulrooney, and so the work that we've done to try to get commitment from the former minister to reinstate the Highway 401 task force will have to be sort of repeated, a lot of it with the new minister. Just a little bit further on traffic control on Highway 401, I'm going to try to find a meeting with Inspector Dobson of the Grenville Detachment sometime in the next week or so to pitch her on a possible solution to traffic control during Highway 401 closures when she doesn't have officers available. And I don't want to say more about it in public until after I've had an opportunity to discuss an idea with her, so I'll just...
May I just make a comment on that, Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I was thinking about this over the last few days, and I'm just throwing this on the table for consideration, and staff, if you may want to follow up on it. Would it be possible to have, perhaps we were talking about having people to direct traffic, and it was sort of thought that we don't want to take on that liability, but the fire department, when they go to a scene, they do direct traffic, and they have trained people to direct traffic. Would it be possible to consider using firemen during a problem such as we had the other week? And it's just a suggestion that I just wanted to bring up.
Okay, and that suggestion has come up a number of times, and I know that staff has some concerns. My suggestion that I'm going to pitch the inspector on is a little bit different, and it doesn't involve our volunteer firemen, but I'm not going to, as I say, I'm not going to say more. One thing I will ask the CAO to give me some help with, because I know that when Highway 401 closes in both directions, we all get calls. Now, I don't know, Councillor Hunter, well, whether you get them to the same extent that we do, because we're living along the highway, but I know that it's of interest to at least the four of us that live along that stretch. So, to the CAO, can the meeting with the inspector be structured in such a way that other members of council can attend that meeting, without going to the full formality of the agenda that we have under our procedural bylaw?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, if there's more than a quorum of council there, it's a council meeting.
Okay, all right, well, we'll have to see if we can find maybe two of us, maybe we'll hold it as a council meeting, we'll see. Councillor Hunter?
I just have one comment about it. One thing I don't agree with is our firefighters directing traffic. I've had a real problem for years with the police department ordering them to direct traffic on 401 when they're into accidents, parking our fire trucks to block traffic and stuff. I think this is the OPP's job, and I don't think it should be our volunteer firefighters that's put at risk, or our equipment that's being put at risk. They got police vehicles there, and they need to block traffic with them, not put our $500,000 fire trucks across the road to
You got my support on that one.
get run into. We got a lot of good volunteer firefighters. They put their careers and their families second, so they can appear to save people and assist in putting fires out. We're not there, and I don't think police have any right to be asking them to stand on the highway and put their lives at risk to direct traffic for accidents. I think they're totally out of line. The money we pay into our police services, I think we deserve to get the traffic directed by OPP officers, or if not, they have auxiliary officers that are trained. We have security forces in their area that, if they haven't got staff, why don't they hire security guards to come in and direct traffic? They must have a program. The businesses use them all the time. We use them even at the port, but sometimes hired for there. But that's my recommendation for directing traffic on there. Get the guards down there to direct traffic. They're trained to do that. They get paid well to do it, so.
No, we'll discuss all of those issues with her. And of course, I'm going back to your question about us putting our $500,000 truck to block traffic. I don't understand why we would do that, as opposed to saying to the policeman, no, we're not doing that. You pull over that tractor trailer there and you set him where you need him. He can get smashed all to hell, and they're gonna smash up our $500,000 truck that takes a year to
They
replace.
got a lot more lights on those cruisers. Two of them can sit there. If you can't see those blue lights for miles down the road, well, you're not gonna see the fire engine or a tractor trailer sitting there either, so.
Anyway, okay, so I'm going on with my report here quickly. CAO has mentioned our invitation to meet with a deputy minister on the Ontario Job Site Challenge on June the 2nd, and we'll do that.
July 2nd, sir?
July 2nd, you're right. And what other, the other thing, I just wanted to mention that now letters of thanks to Procter & Gamble Brockville plant manager and to Ingredient for the work that their folks are going to do on our parks during their community cleanup day, which is, I think, Wednesday the 26th. So I've signed the letters and they're ready to go out. So they'll go out immediately after. And then just one last thing, I was asked to do a presentation at the Aquatarium in Brockville on Saturday, celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Seaway. And when they called me, they said, will you talk about what effect did the Seaway have on the Port of Johnstown? So had about 50 people for the presentation, and a lot of interest in the Port of Johnstown. Still a lot of people that don't recognize we're in business. So that's the mayor's report, and I'll call for the motion to approve the mayor's report, and I believe that Deputy Mayor Deschamps
Yep.
has it.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh, that municipal council receives the mayor's report as presented.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And, item 15 is question period, there's no one here. Item number 16 is a closed session, and I'm looking for the motion to go into closed session. Councillor Hunter.
15.
Yeah, 8:15.
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the municipal council proceed into closed session at 8:15 PM in order to address personal, or a matter pertaining to personal matters about an identified individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically succession planning and minutes of closed session dated May 27, 2019. Proposed or pending acquisition or disposal of land by the municipality or local board, specifically industrial land.
Motion to go into closed session, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried, we'll have a 10-minute break and resume in closed session. Okay, so
No, that's the one that approved.
we have, moved out of the closed session at 9:20 PM, and I'll just report from the closed session. So arising out of the closed session, I believe, Deputy Mayor Deschamps, you have a motion to approve the minutes of the closed meeting of May the 27th.
I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh, that municipal council approves the minutes of closed session dated May 27th, 2019.
Okay, and those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. All right, and then I have, coming out of the closed session, a motion that has been moved by Councillor Dillabaugh and seconded by Councillor Cameron, that the municipal council authorizes the mayor and clerk to execute an offer to purchase and to negotiate within the parameters as directed by the closed session. Those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
That motion is carried. And then reporting further from the closed session, the CAO was directed to arrange a meeting with the municipal lawyer for the purposes discussed in the closed session. That meeting to take place as soon as possible on one of the Mondays after beginning on July the 8th. And that concludes the report from the closed session. And now I'm looking for the motion to approve the confirmatory bylaw, and I don't know who has that.
I have that, thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter, that a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be now passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-37.
Those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion is carried, the confirmatory bylaw is passed, and now I'm looking for the motion to adjourn. Who has the motion to adjourn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Cameron, that municipal council does now adjourn at 9:24 PM.
Motion to
Oh,
adjourn.
sorry.
Those in favor of the motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Motion is carried.